Overcoming resistance to change. Stay tuned. This is Damon with NLP Gym. If you haven't already, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine yesterday, and she's in my same yoga class, and we were talking about change and transformation and suffering. And the way she was talking, I could tell that she presupposed that in order to change, in order to transform, you had to suffer. You had to overcome this pain. And she was telling me about a yoga workshop that she had gotten involved in, which was a very immersive yoga workshop. And she said she knew she was going to experience pain and suffering, but she needed that in order to transform. I told her, I said, no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that you needed to suffer, you needed to experience pain. And that NLP, which is something she didn't really know about, and I was explaining it to her, NLP mainly, and for the most part, goes around the suffering, gets around this idea that we have to suffer. Now, sometimes you will go through an NLP process and you will experience suffering, and I'll explain why that happens in a minute. But for the most part, you can transform without any drama, without any suffering, without any pain or anything like that. It's not necessary. If you have this belief that change, even positive change, requires suffering, which is why most of us don't want to change, because we feel comfortable the way things are, even though the way things are might be bad or maybe not good for us, or we may not be getting what we want. We're just comfortable with the way things are, so we don't change. And in our minds, we have this limiting belief that change somehow implies that we must be uncomfortable and we must suffer, we must experience pain in order to get there. Change may be uncomfortable, but there's a very specific reason for that, and sometimes it may be painful, and sometimes you may suffer as a result of that. The truth about internal pain and internal suffering is it's resistance. It's resistance to change, not the change itself, that creates the pain and suffering. If you look at children, they don't experience depression and they don't suffer like adults do. And why is that? Well, they tend to be more flexible and more adaptable to change than we are when we're adults. When you resist change, you will suffer. When you experience resistance in NLP, we call that ecology. Some sort of ecology is coming up. Some part of you is saying, I don't want this change and I'm holding back. Instead of just ignoring it, which is not going to help you in the long run, we go second position with it, or we ask that resistance, what is it trying to do for us positively? Because we look at our whole being as a one whole, one system where all the parts want to work together naturally. Sometimes we have a part that doesn't. Sometimes we have a part that resists the change. So we have to go into it and communicate with that part in order to find out what it's trying to do for us in a positive way or a positive intention, so that we can integrate that positive intention back into the whole system. So to recap all this, when you resist change, that's what creates the suffering, not the change itself. When you resist transformation, that's when you experience pain or suffering, and it's not necessary. You can transform, you can change without any pain, without any suffering. Since I was talking to someone who's in my yoga class, I told her that even in yoga, yoga is not painful, but a lot of people associate pain with yoga because it's physical, there's stretching involved. It's only when you resist the posture that you're in that you experience some sort of pain or a lot of discomfort. Now, it's not always comfortable to be in some of these postures, but the more you resist that posture, the more painful it's going to be, or more uncomfortable it's going to be. There were many times when I first started practicing yoga that my teacher would tap me and say, breathe. And I realized I was holding my breath, and holding your breath is a form of physical resistance. And when you do that, when you're practicing yoga, your muscles tense up because you're not giving your blood oxygen, and that blood is not able to deliver that oxygen to your muscles, which makes them loosen up. So any sort of tension, any sort of resistance is going to make you feel pain, discomfort, and suffering, whether that's physical or internal. And there's an easy remedy for that. Acknowledge the resistance and get in touch with it, reintegrate it into the whole system, and release it. Let go. When you let go, then that's when the suffering stops. And what I explained to my friend who had been to that workshop, I said at the last day, you had your transformation? She said, yes. I said, that last day you let go, didn't you? And she said, yes, you're actually right. She was holding on to something until the very end, and when at the very end she let go, the transformation happened, the suffering ended. So once again, it's not the change, it's not the transformation that makes you suffer or experience pain, it's the resistance to it. I also had a non-duality teacher by the name of John Wheeler, and what he would tell me is, the moment you look away from the truth of who you are, that's when you begin to suffer. That's when you allow suffering in. It's the total acceptance and the non-resistance to the truth of who you are, which ends all suffering. Check out our website, nlp-gym.com. Follow us on Facebook for real-time updates on upcoming workshops and free practice sessions that I hold on Saturday mornings right here in Santa Cruz. Also, if you like this video, please click like right down here and leave a comment or a question. I will follow up with you. Stay tuned to the end of this video so you can get your hands on a free online NLP training. Check out my final workshop of the year, NLP Values Elicitation and Hypnotic Installation. That's October 22nd and 23rd here in Santa Cruz. Take care.